Hello, everyone, and welcome to another American Scouser podcast. This is a post-game one after a great victory at Anfield. Today, it's myself, Timucin, hosting with Tim Hooch with us today. How's it going, Hooch?
I was going good, man. Great result. Couldn't be happier.
It was a great result. I think this is a first time in a long time, or at least feels like a long time, where I could watch the game sitting back, which I don't very often do anyway. So what did you think overall? What did you think of the lineup? First of all, let's start with that.
The feature a little bit, but I don't think you can't put him out there for 70 plus minutes coming back off that injury. The Genie was a beast in midfield. He was a welcome addition back, and then Robin does what he does at left back, and Van Dyke and Matip in the middle were just unpenetrable almost.
Yeah, this game definitely showed how much we missed Genie in midfield, didn't it? His work rate and his defensive, how many balls he won, like just got the possession right back and stuff. It was definitely see. I was happy to see Trent come in at the end, get some minutes because I really feel like he should be the one starting, especially with no Van Dijk. We need him to start against Bayern Munich in the Champions League. I would have loved to see him start today, but at least it was good to see him at the back over there. And really, Bournemouth didn't pose much of a threat going forward, except those like initial minutes where they could come up there with speed with like so Milner kind of like coped pretty well over there. It was probably like one of his easier games as a right back, I would say. Um, so who were you the most impressed with? Like, who was your man of the match? There's a lot of candidates on this one. It was kind of like one of those odd games. They played so well.
I think was huge. It looked like whatever Klopp said to them to kind of take the pressure off seemed like it worked. The crowd was great. So big shout out to Anfield. There was no moans, there was no grumblings. They were singing the whole time. But yeah, man of the match, I'd have to go with Mo and Bobby a close second.
Yeah, I think I was gonna go with Mo. I think we're in the minority. I think most people saw Genie as the man of the match, which like I said, it was a close one. I think we performed so well, especially in midfield. It was a close one. He could have kind of like gotten either way. And I think Genie's presence really helps Keita. You swap Lalana with Genie. No offense to Adam, but that's like a huge boost by itself, and it's almost made it look like it took a little bit of pressure off of Keita. And this was definitely a good game for him. I was hoping he would get that goal at the end, but I think his pass to Firmino was awesome on that goal. That started up with like for Salah's goal and some beautiful goals, man. How about Genie's finish?
I had a thought. I kind of jotted it down that it'll get replayed, but if that's Pogba or somebody like that, the pundits would be losing their mind calling the goal was than some secondary scoring. But yeah, that was an unreal finish.
Yeah, his runs were key. Like I say, it created a lot of space for Keita as well. Genie. I know, like in the beginning of the season, especially with the signings of Keita and Fabinho, I think most thought Genie would be, like a squad player. I don't think anybody expected Genie to be the key almost. I feel like he's like the most. He was the first one I think right now that when healthy you would pencil in that midfield and then build around him. Like I say, in the beginning of the season, he was more like an afterthought. But man, he's the most consistent, and it showed that we really missed him the last few games.
Yeah, it really. He brought in Fabinho and Keita in the beginning of the year. It did seem like he was going to be a squad. Other players, I think, feed off that, and he was a big part last year, but it's one of those guys who
What you think of the defense? I mean, I thought overall they performed well. I know like Matip gets a lot of crap from fans overall, and sometimes his initial tackle or challenge is not the best, but he has the speed to recover in most cases and do that second one and get the ball back. But I thought he was very impressive moving forward. Some great long balls. I mean, he had that one long ball. I think it was to Firmino. I mean, it was just like very. I thought he played like pretty well overall. Like an unfair yellow card that he got over there. But I thought overall the line was good. I know Bournemouth didn't challenge him a whole lot, but even when they, threw everybody in at the end, it didn't seem like that defense was rattled today.
No, they're solid. Van Dyke and Matip play together. When you have Milner right back, who's not a defender by trade at all, and it really doesn't show up to play the ball long like that. It's almost having like two more midfielders out there. The way they can play the ball over the top, and they just. I mean, yeah, like you said, Matip's ball to Firmino. He dropped.
Yeah, because I mean, we're seeing now most teams are kind of taking that, 4-5-1 approach against us. They have that five in a line, kind of like swinging from side to side as we move the ball in defense. So yeah, it is very valuable to be able to play those long balls. And they were like up the middle as opposed to like down the wing to like Milner and Robertson. So those guys making midfields. And I think that's why it helps to have a guy like Genie and Keita in midfield, being able to make those forward runs and kind of like stretch the defense a little bit. Otherwise, you could see in the beginning of the game that like line of five in their midfield was kind of like sliding left and right as we moved the ball, and they kind of like held it well. But let's face it, Bournemouth's defense is not good at all. I mean, they let in opponents way too easy, and Salah had like a fabulous time with him. Really, I mean, physically too. I thought he was very strong today. That's probably why he gets my man of the match because I thought he held the ball well. I mean, he showed the most desire up there today. The last couple of games, it's been more like Mane, I thought, who was kind of, wanted to get something done. You could see him like trying to get something done, and he got his goal again today. But I thought it was all Salah today, where every time he got the ball, you knew something was going to happen. He was creating space. He was constantly moving. So like very impressive performance by the front three. They got a goal in. Firmino was a lot better in distributing the ball, but man, it would be nice to see him finish a couple of the chances he had, especially the one that we were like 3-on-1. I thought that was sure a goal. I thought we had an opportunity to really close this goal difference with City today with the ton of chances we got. But I guess we'll take the 3-0 and the clean sheet and the 3 points, and then now the pressure kind of shifts a little bit at least to City. It feels like it's been mostly on us the last like 10 days.
Yeah, the front three was unbelievable. I agree. It would have been nice to see Firmino get a goal for his hard work he put in. And on a different day, Salah could have ended up with 3 or 4 goals. He hit the post in the second half, hit the crossbar in the second half. He had that volley at the end of the first half from just outside the box. Their keeper made a great save. And Bournemouth's keeper played really well too. Let's give him some credit. I mean, they could have got 5 or 6 past him, and he did well to hang in there because it was just an onslaught. But yeah, the huge thing is the 3 points, put the pressure back on City. They have Chelsea tomorrow. So hopefully Chelsea can do us a favor and just go relax. I think I saw the team's going to Spain for 10 days for this for some warm weather training, so that'd be good to get away and just load up for Byron, be ready to go.
Yeah, so I know, I mean, I'm sure we'll talk a lot more about that game going forward, but, what do you take from this game in terms of a lineup, barring any injuries happening during training or something like that? You would think Henderson will be back in the fold. You would think Trent will be fully in the fold by then, he'll have a whole week of practice. What do you take from this game in terms of lineup towards the Champions League?
Yeah, like you said, Trent will be back at right back. I think Hendo comes back in. I'm not sure who he comes in for. It might not be a bad idea to play Kaita again because he's had experience playing against Byron, and it's kind of more of his. And it'll be like almost like a welcome for him to be back in Germany, like with that pace how Byron plays. But I don't know. Can you take out Genie and Kaita in the midfield, and then the front three picks himself, and um, just uh, just based on the options available, I don't think you could start Fabinho back there with Matip or Lovren. So I guess the only question would be the center backs, and maybe a spot or two in the midfield opens up.
Yeah, it's almost like you're gonna need. I almost expect us to, because there is no Van Dijk in the back. I can see us going with our last year's Champions League trio of Milner, Henderson, and Genie. And I know people hate that, hearing that, because it's not the most creative, but I think it's the most solid. And when you don't have Van Dijk in the back to control things, I think you need that solidity. And yeah, it is risky to throw Fabinho as a center back against Lewandowski or somebody, like a very smart, very impressive, attacking force that Bayern has. Even with Mueller out, they're going to be, hard to tackle. And with no Van Dijk to lead the gang back there, I think you do need that midfield that's going to be solid defensively, and then hope that the front three can work their magic to create some openings is what my guess. But so what do you take from this weekend? So, I mean, I guess, like look tomorrow. Do you feel like Chelsea can do us a favor here? What do you expect?
I think the big part is that we won convincingly today. So kind of put some of the doubters to rest that, the last two results weren't great. We still got points with the draws, but I think the biggest takeaway is that we held serve and now it's back to City and now they have to do it as well. Because the way we played today, it's like how we went back playing before these last two matches. And that can't be a good thing for City to sit there and watch us today and say, oh, crap. Like, they got it back together. They're playing a lot more free. The pressure looks like it's back off us and back on the City. So just hope Chelsea can do us a favor.
Yeah, I mean, and that's odd. Was it just Genie then that was kind of like, that midfield, or it was just like one of those chance things where we could kind of finish a couple of the chances we had today? I mean, the first goal, you could, if you were not a Liverpool fan, I'm sure all Bournemouth fans see that as an offside. It was so darn close, but he is maybe a tad offside, but you can kind of consider it as that same line too. But the refereeing didn't have much to do with it today. I thought, for us or against us. Whereas it did hurt us here and there the last couple of games, but at the same time we got an offsides goal too against West Ham. So do you think Genie is a difference there in that midfield, kind of like the who makes the engine run, or is just kind of like potluck and we were able to finish today?
He can stay in form. He can stay healthy. Because without him, I don't know. There's just something about him. Like I said, he's not flashy. He's not going to really jump out at you. It's just, I don't know, I guess his calmness and his presence out there. You know where he's going to be. He knows when to make the runs, when to get track back. He's just a consistent player, and I think that's huge for everybody when you know where certain guys are going to be. It helps with the passes going forward. It helps, when you're coming back on defense, other defenders are going to be, so you know who to cover. The From him just being there, for the last few seasons, and he's just consistent, and not much else you can say about him.
Yeah, I mean his work rate. What I noticed, especially watching this game, it's almost like I had an eye on Genie to see what he really does bring, because there was a huge difference. I think he wins a lot of those like secondary balls to, get it back into our possession right away, which keeps the pressure on the opponent as opposed to them being able to hold the ball a bit longer, kind of like relieve the pressure, kind of like move forward and stuff. I mean, he won so many balls that were, as Bournemouth was trying to get the ball out of their side of the field, he won so many of those balls and like, played them back to kind of like recycle the whole ball that I think it puts a lot of pressure on the opponent, especially when we feel at home. I think that's like the key is, we kept coming in waves. It felt like because we could hang on to the ball and win it right back. Whereas at times it feels like we don't have the momentum or the rhythm because we're letting the opponent kind of hang on to the ball a little bit more, like we did against like Leicester City, for example, where they were able to move the ball from side to side and kind of like take their time, like build up where we're kind of in a defensive mode. And nobody, in some ways, you want teams coming at us because we're so dangerous on the counter, but more and more teams know that, and they do not come totally at you if the game is tied and stuff. I mean, Bournemouth did in the second half, and you saw what could happen. It could have been 6, 7 goals. And I agree with you. Boric kind of like saved the massacre there. It could have been a lot more. He made some like great saves. Even when he didn't save, again, like for example, Salah's ball where he hit the post, the way he comes out and everything like that. I thought he was like crucial for them, escaping a 6, 7 goal misery. I really hope, we hang on to Genie in that sense because he brings a lot of that. He lets us keep the ball, win the ball right back, so we can keep coming wave after wave. And there's no defense who can kind of, regardless of how disciplined you are, to be able to hold the line and chase the runners and stuff like that is like impossible for a defense for that long.
You said the longer we hold the ball, no, it's a defense. You can only hold your shape so much, and you can only track the run so much before eventually Mo's going to get behind you, Mane's going to get behind you, and it's huge coming down the stretch. That Mane's now scored 4 in 4 games. No, he's kind of struggling not struggling in the beginning of the year, but he was missing some open opportunities, and I think the more that he's able to score, that's just going to open up things for Mo, and we've all seen what he can do. The quote unquote one season wonder. Once again leads the Premier League in goals this season so far, and I think he's only one off of 50 to set the Liverpool record held by Torres. So you kind of almost have to like roll. Just kick it long and hope that one of your guys can go make a run to retrieve it, because you're not going to be able to play it out of the back. You're not going to be able to do a lot with the way that Liverpool presses, and I think that's used, like you said, especially at home with the crowd behind you. That just, I mean, it has to be frustrating to play against. You're just like, what can you do if you're the opposition? How do you deal with that? And then one goes behind you, Liverpool scores two, and then before you know it, now you have to open up, and then we just hit you on the counter attack, and it's off to the races for us.
Yeah, I mean that's probably like the biggest thing to take away for me from this game is the fact that we kind of won it so convincingly and so dominant. Like you say, being able to sit back and watch a game, it felt like they were so under control. I know we had a couple of like early scares, but afterwards, even before we scored, it felt like it was due, was going to come in any moments because we were creating those spaces. There was so much movement, and that was probably like the biggest thing for me is we won so convincingly, and the way we played was so positive, dominant. Kind of like back to our regular ways, which was nice to see because I did not want us to squeak a win. I mean, heck, it's 3 points either way, but I think, like you're saying, psychologically, for the team, for the fans who were in a panic mode for a while there, it's good to see, like, everything is back. So let's take a quick look around the league, if you want, for today's scores. What did you think? There's a couple of shockers there. Like Cardiff winning at Southampton, that was some finish in that game. Two like last minute goals back to back, and Cardiff gets the last laugh on that one, and that puts Southampton now on the very bottom. So I know we talked about this maybe like 3, 4 podcasts ago, and I think we all had Fulham and Huddersfield waving goodbye to the Premier League. So do you have a different opinion now as who the third is gonna be?
Um, I know they escaped relegation today, but I don't know. I just think Southampton. I mean, they still got players. Um, Going forward, it was a nice win for them today. It's nice. It's always fun to see teams. As fun as it is for us at the top of the table when we go back and forth with City. Seeing some of these smaller clubs that have no business really staying up when they pull upsets like that on the road. It's just nice to and especially with everything going on with
Yes, it seems like Southampton always finds a way at the end, don't they? I mean, they had the same situation last year. It's just a really huge blown opportunity for them, though, to kind of like, push Cardiff all the way down, pull themselves up, and, it would it's kind of like almost like a 6 point game on that one where Cardiff City wins away, of all things, too. So I thought that was interesting. United won again at Fulham, and that's our next game going against them. Suddenly they find themselves in fourth. The only good thing that comes out of that, as far as I'm concerned, because I can't stand United, is the fact that it puts Chelsea in a situation where they have to perform tomorrow.
Yeah, agreed. I mean, the difference with United is night and day. Since Mourinho got fired, and you could tell they're enjoying their football. Pogba looks like a brand new player. Rashford, Martial, all them guys. Um, it'll definitely be fun when we take them on at Old Trafford. Be nice for Chelsea can go out and steal a point.
Yeah, like I say, it's gonna be important for them to get at least a point tomorrow, because yeah, they suddenly find themselves in the fifth, and that has been remarkable. So these guys were really trying hard to get Mourinho fired. It can't just be Mourinho. I mean, it has to be something from the players as well. It has to be like a morale, or more like I think Mourinho finds a way to get people pissed off, so they kind of play to get him fired like they did in Chelsea and everything like that too. But yeah, I mean, I never thought they would be able to climb up that high. And now, I mean, they're obviously they have a game in hand, but you don't see Arsenal being able to keep up. So Chelsea would be like my forecast was Chelsea being fourth in the league, finishing the season. But I like the fact in a way that United won today because it definitely puts pressure on Chelsea tomorrow. They have to get some sort of a result. I mean, if it's a draw, they got to be able to get a point. They don't want to be behind and become, being outside looking into the top four. I mean, that top four has been like golden now. In some ways, part of me was wishing United would stay out of it. But like I say, I was almost like semi glad that they were able to jump over Chelsea because that puts a lot of pressure on Chelsea tomorrow. But definitely a great win for us. Great way to start the weekend. Any parting thoughts?
Hopefully, everybody can stay healthy. Hopefully, Shaqiri's abdominal strain isn't too bad, and just get ready for Bayern because now we're at the business end of the season, and we can win it on two fronts. It'd be, I mean, honestly, obviously we want one trophy, but you get past Byron and you can kind of keep one eye on the Champions League. And with the Ox coming back and Gomez, hopefully, they figured his situation out. It's going to be an exciting final few months of the season. So yeah, just go to Spain, enjoy themselves, and get ready.
Yeah, I know I could use Spain and some sun right now. It's like -5 outside over here, so more power to them. I wish I was there, but yeah, great win to start the weekend. Up the Reds, and we'll talk again hopefully this week, getting ready for the Champions League.
All right, man, sounds good.
Cheers.
Cheers.